Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Hall. You may call me Dr. Kennard. Yes, I am officially boosted. I got my booster shot last night. There's some drama, some issues. I was going to get a Moderna booster, but I got a Pfizer booster instead. I'm not unhappy about it. I hope you're doing well. Guns here in the States. How bad is it? Well, I have some infographics and I have a story, I believe, from The Guardian. The links to the story are in the description below, everyone. So we're going to talk about guns, and then we're going to talk about school boards here in the States. But let's get to the first fun story of the day right here. How the U.S. fails to take away guns from domestic abusers. These deaths are preventable. But you ask yourself, how many people are killed by a loved one? Well, actually, someone in a breakup for domestic violence. Let's just dive right into the story. Every 16 hours, somewhere in the US, a woman is fatally shot by a current or former intimate partner. The numbers have been soaring. Gun homicides by intimate partners jumped 58% over the last decade, according to never before published FBI data analyzed for a reveal from the Center for Investigative Reporting by James Allen Fox, a professor and criminologist at Northeastern University. The pandemic has been especially lethal period for abuse victims, Fox found. Gun homicides involving intimate partners rose a stunning 25% in 2020 compared with the previous year, to the two highest levels in almost 3 decades. Women accounted for more than 2/3 of the victims shot and killed by intimate partners last year. Is anyone surprised that women are more likely to be the targets of gun crimes, of gun homicides with romantic partners? Here we go. Here's a chart. Intimate partner shooting deaths are soaring. Domestic violence, gun homicides fell sharply in the 1990s, then began to rise in the Obama years, reaching a 26-year high during the pandemic. The change in killings by other methods have been less pronounced over time. I'm going to leave this chart up for a second or two for you all to absorb. There are people who give these horrible arguments, who are pro-gun, saying that deaths and murders will happen regardless, even with knives or clubs or frying pans. And look, guns, no surprise, are just far more efficient at killing people. I cannot believe I have to say that guns are more efficient at killing people than a knife is, but the data does seem to bear it out. You can see the dip. And yeah, we're going to be talking about some of the laws affecting gun sales here and how the federal government and how certain states deal with felons, people who have an abuse history about owning guns. It is not a pretty picture. The true numbers aren't known. The federal government doesn't track fatal shootings by intimate partners who shouldn't have firearms, and state data is incomplete, inaccessible, or non-existent. To find these cases, Reveal amassed information on hundreds of gun homicides around the U.S. from domestic violence coalitions, news accounts, and state agencies, then vetted each shooter using criminal background checks and thousands of pages of police and court records. The number of cases we found is certainly a vast undercount, in large part because we were unable to obtain limited information from only 21 states, and crucial records in many cases were missing. I know some of you find this surprising, and Microphone finds this surprising, that red states run by theocrats, run by conservatives, run by Republican evangelicals may not be that good about reporting gun violence, especially against women. Right, Microphone? Microphone's on point this morning. All right, let's take a look at this other lovely infographic. intimate partner homicides in the U.S. At least 122,000 Americans have been slain since 1976, with more than 2,800 killings in 2020 alone. Once again, the coronavirus, COVID-19, has exacerbated underlying weaknesses in the culture of the United States of America. It isn't like the pandemic has made people smarter. Oh no, it has made people who are already prone to violence more violent, and people who are prone to logical fallacies fallacying more. Is that a verb? Fallacying? Microphone doesn't think fallacying is a verb, but if we get enough people to use it as a verb, fallacying, I think it'll be in the dictionary someday. Everyone has to have dreams. Once again, this is a long story. If you want to check out the entire piece in The Guardian, please do. The description is below. The link to the article is below. Guns are the #1 weapon in domestic violence killings in the U.S. Just owning a firearm makes an abuser 5 times more likely to take a partner's life. I just want to say it again for the statisticians in the crowd. Just owning a firearm makes an abuser 5 times more likely to take a partner's life. How many times? 5 times? 5, not 4, not 3, not 2, but 5 times more likely to take a partner's life. People with a history of violence against a partner, including stalking or strangulation, are far more, no surprise here, are far more likely to commit more heinous acts. Earlier this year, researchers reported that more than 2/3 of recent mass shootings in the U.S. involve perpetrators who killed partners or relatives or had a history of domestic abuse. There's an obvious antidote, said David Martin, who supervises the domestic violence unit for the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office in Seattle. The lowest hanging fruit in this entire conversation is making sure that people at high risk do not have access to firearms, he said. This is the easiest thing that anybody can do. What do you think, microphone? That sounds like socialism. Microphone, is anything that you don't like, does that sound like socialism to you? Anything that I do not understand, microphone says, sounds like socialism. Tough crowd with microphone today, everyone. Okay, so every state has passed some version of the federal ban on felons having firearms. In addition, 33 states, don't get excited by this statistic, everyone, don't get excited by this. In addition, in 33 states and the District of Columbia, it's illegal for people convicted of domestic violence misdemeanors to possess guns. But federal gun laws and a vast majority of state statutes share a glaring flaw. They don't address how to get the guns away from people who aren't supposed to have them. I just want to point this out, that the law says one thing, but there's no way to actually execute the law. There's no teeth to the law. It's basically just gums. The laws have gums. They have no teeth. All right. They don't say how offenders who are banned from possessing firearms should surrender them. They don't spell out procedures for confiscating them. They don't create the legal infrastructure that is essential for keeping abuse victims, their families, and communities safe from dangerous offenders. Don't worry, there's one more infographic I'm going to share with you in a minute to tell you which states are on point and which states are not. You will not be surprised by this list of states, by the way. Instead, around much of the county, these gun laws are an honor system that relies on people who are prohibited from possessing firearms to disarm themselves. You know, these people who are violent, we should just allow them to police themselves, right? We should just allow them to give up their firearms voluntarily. That makes perfect sense. It's like asking the Catholic Church to police itself regarding pedophiles. That sounds very similar. You are trusting somebody who is not worthy of being taken at their word, said Democratic Congressman Eric Stilwell, who spent 7 years working as a prosecutor in Alameda County, California, and that has been to the peril of domestic violence victims. The notion of leaving it up to offenders to turn in their guns of their own volition is absurd. Law professor Nancy added, it's a fairy tale. All right, let's check out which states have a process, a way to make sure that these violent offenders give up their guns. Oh, this is a disturbing picture. Every state has some ban on felons possessing firearms, but big gaps remain. So you get these states with light green, bar people convicted of domestic violence, misdemeanors from having guns for some period of time. 7 states require prohibited possessors to give up their firearms. 3 states, only 3 states, everyone, 3 states here in the US require proof of surrender of their firearms, and that's Connecticut, Nevada, and California. Nevada, I don't know how you did that, but job well done. Massachusetts, shame, eternal shame, nothing but shame. You need to have people provide proof that they have surrendered their firearms if you are violent. If you've been convicted of a crime, of a violent misdemeanor, then there needs to be some way. It's just to make the system work properly. There has to be a method to make sure the person doesn't have firearms anymore. That seems to be common sense. But somehow what teaching evolution in schools seems to make sense. People getting vaccinated seems to be making sense. The earth being round and not flat seems to be making sense. It seems like we're having these same conversations over and over again, microphone, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to check out the chat before going to the halftime tummy rub show. Hope everyone's doing well this morning. Oh, Phi, you cannot say that you are an example to the rule. One data point, my friend, does not prove everything. And what we're really arguing here is for appropriate gun laws, making sure that people who have violent misdemeanors actually have their guns taken away. Felons have their guns taken away. Once again, owning a gun means you're 5 times more likely to kill your partner. 5 times. And we're not even talking about the successful suicide rate for people who have guns, right? It's almost as if having that much power in your hand drives us chimps crazy. Now, we have talked about Paul Camish, friend of the channel, has guns over in England. And the rules that they have in England are quite impressive. There's someone coming into your house to make sure that the guns are locked away, I believe on a yearly basis, as I recall our conversation with Paul. Nothing like that happens here in the States, in any state. All right, checking out the chat. Good morning, Simply Secular Dave. I'm sure that for a lot of our friends and watchers here in Commonwealth countries and other industrialized countries, our fixation on guns, it's just nutty. That's what it is. What's up, Tobin? Hope you're doing okay. Cryptameria. I only kill vegetables and fruits at this point, though I have killed many bears. Pleased to meet you. What's up, John Hudson? Dee Parks, good morning. Blazing Wizard Pope and 420 Atheist. Well, there are many reasons to be single. There are, Cryptameria. Yeah, saying murder will happen anyway. It's pretty low standard, to tell you the truth. Dee Parks. Microphone is shocked. Good morning, Tesla Ranger. Fallacying. Oh, I see what you're doing there with the play on words. Fallacying. Yeah, that can get dirty pretty fast. Good morning, Dr. Mordecai. Oh, Jess M. Good morning. And KCA Randy. Glad to see that you're here. You want to do some tummy rub? You want to do some tummy rub? You want to see something funny? You want to see something about Christian clowns? No, it isn't what you're thinking, probably.
If you've ever wondered how to break into the Christian clowning ministry, we have found the book for you. Whoever clowns in the name of Christ must remember that the glory belongs to God. Glory does not belong to clowns. As a symbol of love, the clown dies daily, Through love, the clown helps us also to die a little so that our lives may be filled with better things. Clown ministry is often justified with scriptures such as, "We are fools for Christ's sake." A quality clown is not someone in whiteface who just wanders around, but a sincere and devoted minister. If you would like to learn more about clowning for Christ, you can give me a follow because I will definitely be posting more content.
Clowning for Christ. Now I want to buy that book. Maybe I'll just subscribe to her TikTok channel because it sounds crazy, everyone. Religion poisons everything. Guns poison many things, most everything. And of course, Christianity, the only thing that can make it worse is if you have a Christian clown working for the NRA, right? Checking out the chat before we go to the next story. Oh, you got your new Jesus action figure today. Do they have holes in their palms too? That'd be real. All right, what's our next story, everyone? Hitting the wrong buttons. Andy, what are you doing? Oh, Jesus, hopping Christ. A look at the groups supporting school board protesters nationwide. Have you looked at the news? You'll notice that there are these groups of fascists, of white supremacists, of angry anti-maskers flooding many school board meetings. Are you surprised that they're being funded and supported by large organizations? Remember the Tea Party, the so-called grassroots campaign, how they were funded by the Koch brothers and other groups? You remember that microphone, right? Well, this is just another example of local groups being supported by large. PragerU? Is that PragerU? Are you surprised that PragerU is behind some of the shenanigans? I'm not either. Am I getting ahead of myself? Should we just get to the freaking story? All right, let's do that. This is from NPR, everyone. In several states and districts around the country, protesters have been disrupting school board meetings. They're opposed to mask policies, vaccine mandates, LGBTQ rights, sex education, removing police from schools, teaching about race and American history, or sometimes anything called diversity, equity, and inclusion, or even social emotional learning. The protests aren't ubiquitous, but they're widespread and intense enough that the National School Boards Association asked President Biden to step in, and Attorney General Merrick Garland then directed the FBI to help. This is the same crew, by the way, that wouldn't want evolution to be taught in schools. But thank my fictitious God that evolution is so far down on their list of targets, on their enemies list, that they haven't even, that it's like a second thought. It's a tertiary thought. What happened? What is happening in Poway? This is a town in California. It is not an isolated incident, but it may take the cake for being surreal. So this is a person, Patel, who is on the school board at Poway, which is in California. At the September 9th meeting, some protesters followed behind a visitor and got inside the meeting hall, the building. Patel and her fellow board members decided that the best way to de-escalate the situation was to immediately adjourn the meeting. Smart move, board members. What happened next is documented in an elaborately shot and edited video posted to YouTube. So we the people, says a man in a black baseball cap and black t-shirt, so we can go ahead and replace the board. Let's take a vote. Who's willing to become the president? So this is just cosplaying, right? This is just keeping the base energized and idiots cosplaying as adults. But what do you expect from Christian fascists? What do you expect from these people, right? Another man steps in wearing a t-shirt that says, "Let them breathe," with a smiley face on it. In case you don't know what's Let Them Breathe, they're an anti-masker organization that wants to keep mask mandates from schools. You heard it right. Let Them Breathe is a fascist, white supremacist organization that wants to keep mask mandates out of schools. He gives his name as Derek Greco. The protesters vote aye and make him the new school board president, but only in that cosplaying way. Later that night, Greco, who could not be reached for comment, posted a video on Instagram. In it, he is breathless and sweaty. The board vacated their seats tonight, so when we then brought in a constitutionalist and held a quorum, and we voted in a new board, he says. You are now looking at the new president of Poway Unified School District, apparently. No, you're not. You're just some idiot with a camera and getting support from shitty fascist organizations, right? Right, microphone? Jesus Christ. Constitutionalism, this is for all you kids out there who don't know what it is a far-right ideology that means, in essence, that people don't have to recognize any laws or authorities that they don't like beyond the Constitution itself. The video continues at a local restaurant where Greco and some of the others who just declared themselves the new school board complain that they then voted to remove critical race theory from school, though it's not being taught, and to stop requiring masks. Later, Greco and 4 others filed notarized oaths of office with the San Diego County Clerk. What does it mean? It means nothing. It just means that they're getting clicks and views, and of course, hoping to incite further violence down the line. These are some of the groups that are supporting these lunatics. The Manhattan Institute, one of the most established conservative think tanks, published Woke Schooling, a toolkit for concerned parents in June. Citizens Renewing America, founded by President Trump's former budget director, Russell Vought, I'm going with Vought, published a 34-page guide for activists, also in June, dedicated to combating critical race theory. And let's not forget, critical race theory is just history. The toolkit states the following. CRT holds that racism is not just a belief held by individuals. Rather, it is a system of oppression that has been built into the very structure of our society. And of course, PragerU. Oh, by the way, the Proud Boys are also behind some of these meetings, some of these little mini riots in school board meetings. It's in the article. The link is in the description below. PragerU, our favorite YouTube fascist organization, is a nonprofit media company founded by the conservative radio host Dennis Prager. Last year, they started an online community aimed at parents and teachers that claims over 20,000 members. There are videos and books for children promoting a patriotic vision of American history and conservative heroes like Condoleezza Rice, alongside a parent action guide for parents who want certain materials removed from classrooms, and a video documentary for parents about the battle happening right now for the minds of our children. And of course, this is another group found, helping to incite violence against school boards. Turning Point USA, a group closely allied with Trump through its leader, Charlie Kirk, started the School Board Watch List, a website with the names and photographs of school board members around the country. They say they're America's only national grassroots initiative dedicated to to protecting our children by exposing radical and false ideologies endorsed by school boards and pushed in the classroom. School districts. Oh, they're calling out school districts are requiring, blah, blah. Okay, so anyone surprised by the list of idiots supporting the fascists? The organizations that are fascists supporting idiots. Anyone surprised by that? By the list? I was totally shocked by PragerU. I know you would be. Microphone. I know you would be. You're going to check out the chat before. Well, signing off because we're getting close to our time. Oh, let's see. Just looking at the a la snack bar. I don't know what the a la snack bar would look like. Probably no bacon bits. Probably no jerky there. The indoctrinated clown posse. I like that. Okay. Everyone, thank you for showing up. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing if you're new here. And hey, once again, no ads on the channel. Please become a YouTube member or patron or throwing a couple of shekels in. I'm going to drop the last funny video, and I'll see you at 9:30 for the after party after show, where we just do like an open room. Link to be on the panel is in the description below. Take care, everyone.